welcome to Horse Talk, where we are going to talk about three things you need to know about horses that you don't learn in riding school or when taking lessons. That it's crucial that you learn about if you want to have safe and pleasant rides with your horse. And my name is Katrina, and I am founder of Ride Like Viking, who has helped thousands of horse owners get the partnership with horses they always wanted and solve problems without needing to win battles with their horse or rely on treats. And the main three things that I think is the reason for this being possible is what I'm going to share with you in this horse talk. And the number one thing is knowing about the worry cup. Because when taking riding lessons, we learn a lot about how to, give signals to the horse and how to control the horse and how to tack up the horse and whatnot. But we don't necessarily learn about the horse's worry cup, which is crucial to staying safe and getting a great partnership with horses. And the worry cup is quite easily explained with, stuff outside the horse's environment that happens that adds worry to the horse. So this is the worry and this is the cup. And if we keep on adding stuff that worries the horse, sooner or later, that worry cup is going to overflow. Yes. And that's very often comes as a surprise to the rider. Like suddenly my horse exploded and bucked off, or suddenly my horse bolted, or suddenly my horse reared up. Like everything happens very suddenly. But according to the worry cup theory, things happen when the worry cup of the horse is full. Yes, so our main responsibility as a rider is to empty the horse's worry cup and make sure the cup is empty enough to be able to take on some more worry. So like this. We empty out worry in the horse so that there's some room for some worry to be added on without the horse exploding. Because we can't really make sure horses never spook or get scared. Stuff happens in the horse's environment that will make them a little bit worried. But it's our responsibility to have tools that empties worry in the horse. So I hope this makes sense, and let me know in the comments below if you have heard about the worry cup before. But I'll give you two kind of quick examples of stuff that will add worry to the horse versus stuff that will empty worry. So let's say, you're out riding and something happens that spooks the horse. If you then start pulling on two reins and stop the horse, like without putting a bend in the horse's body or without emptying worry, you might have stopped the horse, but you haven't necessarily emptied worry. But if something happens that spooks the horse and you pick up on one rein and make the horse's body soft and get the horse to cross over behind and find its own stop, you have just stopped your horse and you have also emptied worry. And I think this is because horses are flight animals who live in herds and who need a way out. So every time we are preventing the horse from moving without ensuring they find their own stop and soften their body, we have a great risk of adding worry to the horse. So stopping a horse isn't necessarily emptying worry, but doing a bend to stop and help your horse find his or her own stop and relax is emptying worry. And just as, for instance, putting your horse in cross ties, making sure the horse doesn't move anywhere, and putting on the tack and the saddle, you stand a risk of adding worry to your horse, because there's no way of knowing if your horse is comfortable while saddled or not. But by saddling your horse at liberty and getting your horse consensus, when saddling, you can saddle and still know that you're not adding worry to the horse. Okay, I hope this makes sense, because a lot of the things that we humans do with our horse have a tendency to add on worry rather than emptying it. And if we then have the external environment adding worry to the horse, as well as our training techniques and ways of riding, no, there's no wonder there are so many riding accidents. So if you're just able to empty worry in horses and have some methods and techniques that you teach yourself and your horse to be able to do this, you are going to have a much better relationship with your horse and a lot of safer rides, because you know what to do in a situation your horse gets worried to empty the worry and get your horse relaxed again. Versus just, stopping the horse or making the horse go backwards or do something that might even add even more worry to the cup so that it overflows. Okay, I hope this helps. And then the second thing that I think we don't necessarily learn when taking riding lessons or going to riding school is feel. Because we know about pressure and release, and we might even learn about rewards and treats, but it's not very common to, teach and learn about feel. And for me, feel is quite easy to explain actually, because it is signals, for instance, in the lead rope or the rein, that are based on, just taking the slack out can be a signal. So for instance, if you want to signal to your horse with the lead rope, you take the slack out as a signal, but you don't necessarily pull on the lead rope. Because horses, they can feel if there's slack in the lead rope or if there's not. And the same, obviously with the reins. The horse can feel when we pick up on the rein versus if there's a little bit of slack in the rein. We don't need to pull on it to give a signal, because horses are so sensitive that they can feel a fly land on their butt. So they also notice if there's a slack in the rein or if there isn't. But if our lead rope or our rein is constantly without a slack, we need to start pulling and using pressure to give a signal. Yes, I hope this makes sense. And this is something we can, have in mind with everything we do with our horse. So if we tie our horse up in cross ties that are tight like this, there's no slack, and we are desensitizing the horse to taking the slack out being a signal. And if we are leading our horse around with a short and tight lead rope, we are also desensitizing our horse to that taking the slack out can be a signal that they can respond to. Yes, so I hope this makes sense, because this changes everything. So what most riders see as a signal is very often pressure, because they need to do something more than what they're already doing, like as their normal. So if you're riding with tight reins, you need to pull on the rein to do something that is different from having the reins tight. But if you have a little bit of slack in your reins, you can pick up the reins as a signal. Yes, and the same goes obviously for our forward aids. Like if we're constantly using our leg aid and our seat aid to keep the horse going, we need to do something more than that to, get the horse to go faster. So a lot of the riding requires the rider to do lots of stuff that sometimes can feel a bit demotivating and annoying to the horse, and that definitely ruins the feel. Yes, so I hope this makes sense, and let me know in the comments below if you have learned about feel and understand what it is from taking riding lessons or going to riding school. And if you haven't, I also completely understand it, because most riding schools, they obviously have horses that are ridden by many different people. And to operate with feel, I think you need to establish a personal relationship with a horse. And the sad thing about this is that many people they learn to ride on horses that don't respond to feel, and thus the rider doesn't learn what feel is, and they also think that all horses need to be ridden with what I see as quite loud signals and pressure all the time. Yes. Okay, and the third thing that I want to share with you is the possibility to actually give horses choices. Yes, which is something I tapped into after going to Mongolia and completing the Mongol Derby and riding the semi-wild horses there. Because these horses, they taught me that control, makes horses more scared and flighty. As these horses were semi-wild, they didn't have the same level of, they weren't as accustomed to the traditional way of riding as we do in Europe and other parts of the world. So I needed to, learn how to let go and to give choices, because if I started off riding them and trying to control them and decide everything, they felt that as a threat to their survival. But if I was able to let go and, rather let the horse go first and then come with some suggestions later, everything went so much better. And that was also what made it possible for me to complete the 1,000-kilometer race on multiple semi-wild horses. Yes, and the choices are key. And I think that is also the reason for us being able to, train horses and transform them without needing to win battles. We can give choices instead. Yes, so basically to give a choice, you would want to make your ID easier to do and more favorable than the horse's ID when you don't have the same ID. But then instead of preventing the wrong thing from happening, you can allow it to happen and allow the horse to figure out that the easier and better way to do things is the way you want to do them. Yeah, for instance, horses who are barn sour. They obviously become barn sour because every time we go to the barn, we take the saddle off and give the horse food, and the horse is reunited with their friends. But if we instead do like the opposite, we can ride to the barn and then we can train the horse, and then we can ride away from the barn, and that's where we give the horse hay and take the saddle off. That's obviously going to solve the barn sourness, because our idea of the horse, we don't want the horse to rush homewards and always be thinking about the stable, right? We are able to then change the horse's mind about the stable. But we don't need to punish the horse or start punish riding them to get this result. We just need to be a little bit mindful about, where does the release happen and where does the pressure happen. So, for instance, if we want our horse to go into the corners or the scary corner, and we always pressure the horse into the horse is going to associate the corner with pressure. But if we instead release the horse into the corner, so that's where we dismount and we can give a horse a treat in the corner, and we can, make the horse want to go into the corner instead of pressuring them into the corner. The horse is going to associate the corner with a good place to be, and the horse will go into the corner from himself. So the only thing we then need to do is to ride the horse out of the corner. But if we constantly ride with like a inside leg and outside rein and pressure the horse to do everything we want them to do, the pressure is going to happen when the horse does what we want them to do, but we need to release them when they do what we want them to do, so that they experience the release when they do the right thing. Yes, which is obviously also going to make the horse less worried and also more responsive to signals, because we are then not using the signals to control the horse and make the horse do stuff. We use, the release to make our ID the horse's ID. And we can do this with just about anything, even with grass. We can teach horses not to graze when ridden and led on a loose rein and even at liberty by giving choices. So the choices and making our ID the horse's ID is much more powerful than pressuring them to do stuff or using treats all the time to get them to do stuff. Because once we know how to make our ID the horse's ID, by knowing where the release is and exaggerate the release, we get much more lasting results with horses, because we then don't become the controller of horses. We become more like their partner, and we do stuff together that they also want to do. Yes. So I hope this helps. And if you want to learn more about this, I have a whole free masterclass teaching you exactly how you can get started with this with your horse in a way that also makes it very easy to ride your horse and train your horse at liberty without relying on treats or without needing to win battles with your horse. And if you want to join the free masterclass, then you can secure your spot by commenting yes below, and I will send you the link to join. Or you can go to ridelikeaviking.no/masterclass and secure your spot. And I will see you there, where you get video examples and everything you need to make this year ahead of us the best year you have ever had with your horse, because you know how to solve problems in a lasting way. Yes, so thank you so much for joining, and I hope to see you there. And thank you for joining, Nancy. And what about a light following contact to guide? Yeah, light contact. I very often think that the contact and support and all that stuff that's going on in the equestrian world today looks very much like micromanagement and pressure. So I don't use the term support or light contact with training horses. I use the terms feel and release. And this makes it much more, I think, black and white for the horse than the more muddy contact, support, constant riding signals that is going on, that I think basically demotivate the horse and also make them not move as functionally as they do when they want to do something. So I'm not into the light contact support kind of riding. Yes, because horses, they can collect without having a light contact or support, because the collection, it comes from their hind legs, not from, the support in the front. And once we reach their hind legs and they carry themselves well, they will also, curl their necks and look beautifully. But often if we start with the light contact and the support and all the stuff, we start at the front and we ride the horse from front to behind instead of from behind to forwards. Yes, so I hope this helps, Nancy, and you are going to rock this with your horse. And I hope to see you on the live masterclass. So comment yes below if you want to secure your spot, and bye for now.